You are now tuned into Flippin the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 102 of Flippin the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Morgan Burkett, and we're coming off an interesting loss against the Buccaneers. But before we get to that, how you feeling, brother?
Pretty good. Someone's commenting on the new intro already, so I like that. That's all Brian's doing. Shout out to him. Getting real creative. I don't know if you saw the new logo as well, but popping that out too. So
yeah, we figured. So we did mention last week, Chris is no longer visually part of the podcast.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of things on the back end, which is great because he's still contributing at a very high level that you guys won't really be able to see unless we shout it out. So huge shout out to Chris. You'll be seeing a lot of me, Morgan, for
trying to get better looking on the podcast. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a cleaner shave as I get closer to the podcast. There's definitely a podcast during the first NBA game because Ben Simmons has ruined basketball in Philadelphia. That's just the unfortunate truth right now. But let's not talk about Sixers.
Raptors play tomorrow anyways. I don't care.
No one cares about the damn Raptors, Morgan. But I did mention we're coming off an interesting loss. And I say interesting because we didn't lose by much, but we did lose by a lot, I think, morally. This team still has not shown signs of improvement. And Jalen Hurts is actually getting closer to my shit list. I don't know about you, but I mean, I looked at the tape, and I think what my issue with Jalen Hurts still is he's not reading the offense. He's not letting routes develop. He's panicking before anything happens. The first sign of blood, he panics, and that's not what you want your young quarterback to do right now. You want him to be strong in the pocket. You want him to be confident in the pocket, and he's not showing signs of that. Then late in the game, we start running the ball. Miles Sanders starts. He sees blood and he's running with, at least like, what was it, like 10, 15 yards, ripping it off without issue.
Mm-hmm.
And as we see in the comments, run the damn ball. And now I get it. Running the ball doesn't mean guarantee wins, but it does guarantee a balanced offense. And that's what the Eagles do not have right now. There's no balance. Jalen Hurts has the most rushing touchdowns, the most rushing yards. Devontae Smith in week 6 now only has 1 touchdown. A couple of them, granted, were called back because of stupidity of the Eagles players. Miles Sanders, I think, only has 1 touchdown as well. And Kenny Gainwell has 1 touchdown. Like, your playmakers are not doing much. And they traded away Zach Ertz, which we didn't get to talk about. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. And then we'll be joined by Marcus Johnson of the Silver and Black Pride. And we'll talk about Raiders and Eagles.
Yeah,
I had the game.
I had this like kind of light bulb go off when I was watching that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like this offense and Nick Sirianni's offense is designed to get a first down on every play. Like, you just don't see many plays where they're, taking the easy stuff and getting 5-6 yards. Like, it just seems like every single play is in their brain. It's 1st and 10 and we need 10 yards. Like, it just feels like he's not willing to take those 3-yard rushes from Miles Sanders. Hell, like take the -1 yard, right? But it's doing stuff, right? Like it's you can't neglect the run because then you see, okay, Jalen Hurts trying to bomb the ball and they're getting 5-yard cushion. Like, there's not that progression throughout the game. It's not like, okay, in the first quarter we're gonna do this, so that opens up this in the second quarter and then this in the second half. It's every single play we make has to be a great play, and if it's not, we're not gonna do it. And it just seems like every play design is 10 yards or a touchdown. There's not like, okay, let's run for a third down because this is what will open up in the future, or let's pass and take the 5 yards early. It just seems like everything is go big or go home, and that's not what we thought we were going to get with Sirianni, and that's not what Jalen Hurts needs. So
I completely agree with that. And I was going to ask you, so with the RPOs, I mean, obviously it's the quarterback's decision on what he sees. And Jalen Hurts obviously holds the ball more than he passes, and then he gives it away to Miles. Do you think the offense the offensive production is more limited by Jalen Hurts holding the ball and not actually trusting the run, or Nick Sirianni, because Nick Sirianni seemed a little shocked that, that, hey, like, why is it, kind of like, why are we not running the ball more? I can't figure it out. And all the extra stuff that Jalen's doing, it needs to be cut out. And, it feels like a little bit like Carson Wentz again, where Carson was doing the extra stuff. He was going wherever he wanted to do with the ball, and he was playing hero ball. Mm-hmm. Jalen is, I said it last week, he's contributing for about 87% of the offense. And that's not ideal for a young quarterback. You're going to, if it's Sirianni, you're running Hurts into the ground. If it's Hurts, you're running yourself into the ground. Right. You got to be more willing to get your other playmakers involved. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what the issue is. Like, Hurts or Sirianni, or even both, are just not willing to trust the playmakers. It's the weirdest thing in the world to me. You're not willing to trust a 24-year-old running back that has fresh legs that you kept out of preseason to run the ball, who's been popping the ball, I think he's averaging like 4.9 yards per carry, something like that, 4.6, around that mark. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to be said at this point. You saw it work in the second half, and I know that they were down, and it's going against game script, but you just have to do it. And how many times did the Bucs run the football? It's for 1 or 2 yards. Obviously, they were getting bigger chunk plays as well, but you just have to take those plays. That's the whole point of running the football. Is it's not going to work on every play. And then what does Miles Sanders do? He breaks one for 60-yard touchdown. Like, we've seen that so many times.
He gets the offense back into the game.
Exactly. And I will give him credit. There's a few plays against the Bucs. We saw, that one screen they ran where they faked the screen the one way. It was maybe a play action. They faked the screen the one way, and then they go the other way with it. Something we saw a lot of with Doug Peterson. Yeah. And it's that kind of thing. Like, that's like you ran screens all the time against Atlanta, and that's the counter of that. Like, why is it taking 5 weeks to grow this up? Because then you're seeing, okay, the RPO is what we were talking about, and this is why I wanted to bring that up. Is what they did, the Bucs smartly, is when you have a run pass option or even a read, they're reading the defensive end, right? So they had the defensive end like come in, go for a backer, and then they're having essentially a spy on Jalen. So if he takes that ball, the linebacker's coming around. Like, that's. And in college and high school,
they were playing games with Jalen said, and they were making him panic before he had to panic.
Right, but even still, that's they do that in the NFL all the time. Absolutely. So there's a clear drop off in coaching there that's happening, and I just think that like they're worried or something that Jalen Hurts isn't going to pick up the playbook fast enough. Like, but these kind of things are what we should have been seeing week 2, week 3. Right, these adjustments, and it's just taking a really long time, and that worries me. And I know we got some comments in here that he wasn't the play caller, but it's more than just play calling at this point. It's play design. The pre-snap motion is dreadful. That's the whole point of this roster, is that you have a bunch of guys that are speedy, they can move around, that you don't know where they're going, and
a lot of it just doesn't make sense at this point. Like, you're 6 games in. And you're doing, like, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. You're literally doing that right now. You're literally running the RPO to the ground, and it's not working for you at all. Like, Jalen at a shotgun Jalen right now is just not being the productive quarterback that people want him to be on the field. He's gaining all the stats. He has everything that you want as a quarterback, stats wise, which is weird because that's what Lurie wanted out of Carson. He wanted the stats. So he's filling up the stat sheet, but you're not seeing consistency on the field. Like, he's the most inconsistent quarterback right now, and that's a little scary for Eagles fans going forward, because now the Deshaun Watson rumors come up. Now the 3 picks in the draft. Like, we don't want to move these picks for a quarterback. Like, it just gets all chaotic at this point, and I'm not here for the 2020 chaos again.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before when we were talking about how this team approaches the next couple of years, and I still think that the right move is to take probably 3 defense, maybe an offensive lineman. I think that here's the thing is, classic Philly fans, we do tend to overreact, and I put myself in that as well, but we're not off our predictions from before the season. You and I predicted about the same record. I think you had a bit higher than me, but these games are pretty much split the way we thought. I think we thought we'd see a better fight against Dallas. Didn't think it would be so tough against the Panthers, but we're right where we thought this team would be.
2-4.
So these like, fire Sirianni and don't give Jalen Hurts time.
That's very
Those kind of things.
premature,
Like I don't get it. The biggest issue for me going forward is the linebackers, and it always was, and it hasn't changed. I think this offense will start to get together. I think this week in particular is going to be a great week for that to kind of see. Like, we're not playing a top defense, but they do definitely have some strengths. So seeing how they really can compete against another team that's kind of still finding their direction, I think that this could be a really good benchmark for the rest of the season. Is how do they rebound from, obviously they were never going to be competitive against the Bucs. The score was way more indicative of, I'd rather they just got blown out. That's what it should have been.
That. Just to respond to Chris, I feel like Raiders of Lost Start was actually perfect for it to sum up with what we're talking about with the running back game. And would you get off the comments, please? But just to look at everything, from the running back perspective. So the Eagles have had, according to PFF, the Eagles have had 272 passing plays and 108 running plays through 6 games of the season. Sanders and Kenny Gainwell have combined for just 72 rushing attempts, which means everything else is Jalen.
Yeah.
So you're talking about what? That's 36 rushing attempts just for Jalen. Again, 87% of the offense. There are 29 running backs in the NFL with more carries than Miles Sanders. Just 8 of them have a better yard per carry average. How mind blowing is that? Like, you have the guns at your disposal right now, and you're not using what you can be using. It's just, I don't know. It's just mind blowing. Like I said, it's becoming a repetitive theme where just the Eagles are not doing the smart play.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point last week. I think it was we were talking about is at some point it's an organizational problem. It's not like this has been 4 or 5 years now where we have had this issue. Super Bowl year. I think people forget even then there are some games like, why aren't we running the football? We've had a stable of backs in the past and just don't use them. This is, early people calling early for Doug Peterson to be, reprimanded. It was also because he wouldn't run the football in certain games.
Yeah.
So it does seem like there's more going on. I know you brought this up, you talked about it. But it's similar with the linebacker issue. Is like, it just seems like the Eagles are never gonna, be heavy on the run and never gonna spend at the linebacker position. But it's the 2 most glaring holes on this roster.
And we saw it. I mean, you saw the game, the film where Alex Singleton, I mean, he had a nice hit right up the middle. Had he just not hesitated, Fournette would have not had rushed for a good 7 to 8 yards. Yeah. And these linebackers, I mean, the whole defense for me is they've been schemed to play scared. They're not being aggressive. They were not aggressive against Tom Brady. I mean, he came right off the rip after the kickoff and was passing with ease. Like, it just looked like he was playing scrimmage. So from an overall standpoint, the Eagles are not. They're not progressing. At the 6 games into the season, they have not progressed. They've had moments against the Panthers. Their meter was moving in the right direction. Against the Bucs, they took 2 steps backwards. And it's a consistent theme, just like the quarterback play, just like defensive play. Everything's so inconsistent when it comes to this team that it's creating chaos at this point in the season.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a big disconnect from what we thought this coaching staff was and what they preach all the time and how they're actually play calling? Because it's interesting what you talk about. It's like Gannon, when he came in, was saying, we're going to fly to the football, we're going to be physical, we're going to create turnovers. And then they're playing off coverage on 3rd and 2. Like, that just doesn't scream aggressive, run to the football kind of defense. And then on the offense, it's like, okay, we're gonna cater to what our players do best. We're gonna get the ball out early, quickly. We're gonna be efficient, and that's not what I'm seeing either. So there seems to be a huge it's one thing to say this is what we're gonna do, but as soon as you call those plays, football players are gonna realize this is not what we're about. So I feel like, and it's early still, but
Absolutely.
It could become a bit of an identity issue if they don't figure this out.
I completely agree with that. But I do feel like it's off from what we were expecting. I mean, we were expecting more so up-tempo offense. We're expecting more so of vocal in the running game. I mean, that's what came out of Indianapolis. We're expecting the running backs to be so heavily featured that we thought they were going to lift the burden off of Jalen's shoulders. But instead, it's the opposite. You're burdening Jalen with so much that he's not at that point where he could really read defenses and make the right move. The kid is panicking at the moment of that he sees an edge rusher crash the offensive line. Like, he's not at that point where you can trust him completely with the offense. This isn't 2016 Carson Wentz. This is a completely different quarterback, and he's still young. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like they put too much on his shoulders with the RPOs, with him deciding so much in the game that they're going to run him to the ground, in my opinion.
Yeah. You just see that internal clock kind of ticking. Like, there's a lot of plays there. I know you watched the film too, where there's wide open receivers that he just waits 1 or 2 seconds. It's just unfortunate.
Smith being open.
Yeah. Even Jalen Reagor was open a lot. I know people are disappointed with him, but that man is open a lot.
He's open a lot, but let's not get started on Jalen.
All right.
But let's get started on something that we're carrying over still with the podcast. So we're gonna start with our Know Your Enemy segment. We're gonna bring in Marcus Johnson from the Silver and Black Pride. My apologies. What's going on, Marcus?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Right.
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So you guys are coming off of an interesting couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. You can say that. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. New coach, emails came out. They leaked. They really had a really terrible game against the Bears. And now they're trying to bounce back, and they bounced back against the Denver Broncos. So that was really dope for them to do that and get a big win, especially in the division on the road. And it was a really, really good performance they had. So
listen, man, the defensive line is looking really, really good at this point. It seems like you guys are still kind of hitting on all cylinders, even with Gruden not being there.
Yeah, the defensive line has been playing well all year. I think Gus Bradley, he really runs that side. So that's what's all about. Rob Marinelli, all those guys are still there, the defensive line coaches, and they just keep a fresh rotation. So you'll see a lot of times where Max Crosby is not on the field, as much as he was last year. Last year he played a lot of snaps, so he's able to still a little fresher. Yannick Ngakoue is able to stay a little fresher. So they and then they got like some Solomon Thomas coming in, Quentin Jefferson. So they got a lot of guys moving in and out of that defensive line. So they stay fresh for most of the game, especially if the offense is doing work. So, and then when the offense starts getting some points on, they just reel up on you. So, that's basically what their game plan is.
Now, did you see this explosion from Max Crosby coming? Was that on the horizon, or is this a surprise even to you?
It's a surprise because last year you were expecting him to make that leap last year, coming off of he had a 10-sack season, he had a good rookie season, and you saw the athleticism. He had a great combine. He has really, really good combine numbers. He's got great length. He's got really good bend. So he has all the athleticism. He just needed to build some power and put some weight on. And he has a great motor. So you saw that him getting 10 sacks his rookie year, just basically off motor and his athleticism. And then he just had to add some technique. Last year, he didn't add that, so he kind of had a down year. But this year, we see the technique a lot better, where he's able to make moves and has a pass rush plan. He'll set up moves, he'll set up spin moves really early. He might bull rush you if you're ready for a spin move, and then he just bull rushes you or long arms you. So he has a lot of moves that he can give you. And he's, then he has the athleticism mixed with it. And that's why you're seeing him take that leap, because the athleticism is something you always want to bet on when you're doing in the draft. And if it hits, boom, you got it. So that's what happened with Max.
So we just finished talking about how Jalen Hurts is panicking the moment he sees an edge rusher, around his area. Yeah. What's going to be key? We could wait on the answer to this, but what's going to be key for you guys against a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts? That the Eagles don't run the ball. It's basically, it just revolves around everything Jalen at this point.
To be honest, the Raiders have had issues with mobile quarterbacks for most of the year. So, just them getting out of the pocket and getting scrambled. So a lot of the run stats, against the Chargers and the Bears, they had a really bad run defense, but a lot of their run stats has been kind of elevated for scrambles. Like Lamar Jackson and them, they weren't able to get too much going. They had a big run, but they had a really bad success rate that game. Same thing with like the Steelers had a bad success rate, and so did the Dolphins. But Jacoby Brissett was able to get out of the pocket, and he was able to make some moves, and so was Lamar Jackson. And you saw some of that, a little bit of that with Justin Herbert, and a little bit of that with Justin Fields. And then this week you really didn't see it too much, but they have had issues with mobile quarterbacks and getting out of there and letting them get out of the pocket because they're attacking. When they're rushing the passer, they're attacking. They're just going at it. That's why sometimes you see a lot of teams do a lot of halfback draws against them because the defense tackles are just crashing. They're rushing the passer, and you can kind of get that play fake going that way with a quick run. So maybe the Eagles apply that because that's how the Chargers really gashed them a lot. So we'll see. But more quarterbacks have gave them issues for real.
You've kind of talked about a couple of the sides of the Raiders we've seen so far this season.
Okay.
Beat the Ravens, and then barely beat the Dolphins, lost to the Bears. What is this team? Like how good are they? How good could they be? And what is that one factor, or maybe a couple factors that's keeping them from being that team we saw beat the Ravens? I know that was a crazy game. But one where they looked pretty good, like they could compete.
Yeah, I think this the defense is really good against the pass, so it's gonna be really tough for any team to pass on them. That's pretty big. That's been a factor from the beginning of the season. Justin Herbert he threw 3 touchdowns, but he only had a YPA of 5.8. He threw 38 passes, barely had 220 yards, so he didn't do a lot through the air against them, and nobody else really has. They got a net yards per attempt. They're second in the NFL. And, against deep passes is barely, they're 6 out of 33, 18% completion percentage. It's really hard to pass on them and pass deep. So, if you come out expecting to pass the football, it's not going to be easy for you. They're basically built to stop Patrick Mahomes. If that's how you want to look at it. That's how they're built. They're built to stop Patrick Mahomes. They're going to rush the passer really hard and stop the pass because the Chiefs don't run the ball, right? And that's what, the Chargers are the same way. They can't stop the run either. And, they stop the pass. They're built to beat the Chiefs. So, that's basically how the Raiders defense is. And I think that's how they're going to be. I think on offense is where it gets up and down. I think depending on how the offensive line shows up that week is how the offense is going to go. They have a bad week with the offensive line. It's going to be a bad week. If the offensive line plays pretty well, then it's going to be really hard to beat the Raiders. It's just, because Derek Carr, he's playing really well. He's seeing the field really well. He's seeing the field better than he ever has. He's anticipating really well. He's using eye manipulation. He's playing like a veteran 30-year-old quarterback.
Must be nice.
So, yeah. so he's playing like a veteran 30-year-old quarterback, but pressure bust pipes for any quarterback, especially with 4. So if the teams are able to get pressure with 4 on them, it's a struggle for them to get the ball going, especially with how much they're struggling with the run. I think they had their best performance last week, but the Broncos can't rush the passer at all. So that's basically a wash to me. But that's the weakness. If you can break down that offensive line, you can beat the Raiders and you can stop them from scoring because they want to make big plays. But
So while your defense is going up against a shaky offensive line at best right now, we don't have the veterans that we had week 1. You're going against a defensive line that's actually very productive. You have Javon Hargrave breaking out. You have Fletcher Cox finally finding his footing. Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett. These are guys who are established enough to be considered veterans. But the Eagles don't have anybody behind them. They don't have no linebacker play that could actually assist them per se. How do you see this offense moving the ball against the Eagles defense? Because the cornerbacks, they're, again, veterans as well that can hold their own. Do you feel like the Raiders should rely more on the run against the Eagles, or should they actually just, look in the middle of the field and hope that they could be one of the linebackers, which they possibly can? But
because the Eagles are a too high team. So what I expect from them, they're probably going to try to attack the too high safeties with Henry Ruggs if they want to throw deep. So they're probably going to make them make a decision. And are we just going to run with Henry Ruggs, or are we going to leave everything open? And it's going to leave everything open underneath. So I kind of expect that, especially that's how they attack too high teams. They do a lot of digs, a lot of Mills concept, if you're familiar with that, a lot of Yankee concept, with the play action. So they'll attack you with Henry Ruggs and make you feel that speed, right? And then maybe hit you underneath with Edwards, and then maybe with Greg Olsen, he's a lot different. He's a lot different than John Gruden, right? Last week he did a lot of things that he kind of built off of what John Gruden was doing. So it'll kind of be the same look that the Eagles might be ready for. Then, okay, what are these guys going to do? And then it's going to be something totally different that you might not see, right? And that's kind of what Greg Olsen is doing. So it's kind of interesting. I really don't know how much they're going to attack or what they're going to do with Greg Olsen, because he surprised me a lot this week. Like I thought he was going to kind of come out there and run a little bit of the same offense that they did, but it was kind of different. It was kind of totally different.
I mean, a lot of people are actually praising, everything that he accomplished last week against the Broncos.
So I mean, he's going to attack really different than John Gruden will, but I still think from what he did against, playing against another too high defense that they played last week, I think they're probably going to do a lot of posts. They're going to do a lot of digs, but they are going to try to run the football. But I think that another plan they're going to do is, they're going to try to get you guys to come up first, which they didn't do before with John Gruden. They just came out and just started trying to chuck it. Greg Olsen's going to try to make you guys come up first, and then he's going to try to hit you guys over the top. So he's going to make you respect underneath stuff first. That's how you set up the Broncos. And I think they're probably going to try to do the same thing, because the deep ball is part of the Raiders right now, and you have to respect it. And Henry Ruggs is full speed. He's not really injured like he was last year. You could feel it. You could see it on tape. And they're going to have to play a little bit back, and he's going to try to make you come up first. And that's when it gets dangerous. And that's when they started hitting the Broncos. Boom, 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 boom. Because the Broncos had to come up, and then it was over the top. So, yeah.
Now, you mentioned Derek Carr's progression, and then we talked about Henry Ruggs. One thing they're doing really well this year is spreading the football around. We see Bryan Edwards better than a lot of people expected. Yeah. Obviously, Darren Waller, not as much of a part of the offense as last year with him being the one guy. Do you think this is a trend? Do you think they're going to continue to spread the ball around more? Do you see them, force feeding Ruggs a bit more? Do you see Darren Waller kind of, becoming that guy again as the season goes on? And honestly, just adding on to that, what is your opinion on the running back situation as well with the rotation?
Yeah, you know who I'm picking up in fantasy.
Yeah, I'll start with the running backs.
Sure.
I think it's still gonna be a lot of heavy Josh Jacobs. He played 64% of the snaps last week, so it's gonna be still a lot of heavy Josh Jacobs. He was even in there on third down a lot more often than he was before. I think Kenyon Drake's he's gonna get in there a little bit, and so some is Jalen Richard. So I would see those guys playing about the same amount of snaps. I think Jalen played 14, Kenyon Drake 21, so it's just a little bit of a difference there. So they're going to be mixed in, but I think Josh Jacobs is going to be the man with Greg Olsen. He's going to probably be a better pass catcher a little bit, caught a screen for a nice game last week. So, and he can run the choice routes. I mean, it's just more about his hands. His hands are a little questionable. So that's why he wasn't as trusted with John Gruden, I guess. But I think Olsen's probably going to try to give him a chance to affect the game that well, because he can block too a little bit. He can pass block, right? And then and with the receivers, I would say that their right tackle problem is such an issue that they haven't been able to get Darren Waller into the game because he's having to chip block so much, right? He's having a chip block right now, so they're kind of getting him out of the game. Same a little bit with Hunter Renfrow. So like earlier in the season, you kind of saw Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller were a little bit of the main guys before Henry Ruggs, right? And now that they're having to chip a little bit more to help out that right tackle, whoever the right tackle is, whether it's Parker or whether it's Leatherwood, he's getting help, and that's why they're bringing in DJ Fluker and stuff like that. So it's kind of taking those two out, and that's why you're seeing more Henry Ruggs on the outside. And then also Henry Ruggs is just taking a huge leap. He's a way better route runner. He's just stronger. He knows that you're scared of his speed. So since he knows that, he knows how to play on that. And he's a contested catch guy too, which is just become more relevant this year. We saw a little bit of flashes of it, but now it's like Derek Carr feels super confident just tossing it up to him because he can jump 42 inches in the air and he has great hands. So, you take that chance with him. But, I mean, he still has to work on his routes. It's not super clean. But Bryan Edwards is kind of the same way, too. He's got to work on getting open, but he's having trouble catching the football a little bit this year. So, they're still working on that connection because he should have more yards than he actually has.
So you mentioned against the Broncos, the game plan was to kind of make the defense come up. That way you get them deep. You're facing a team now. This is more so I want to get your opinion. You kind of gauge you on, let's talk a little bit of Eagles. That's it's not your thing, but I feel like you can do it. Okay. The Eagles right now, they're having difficulty with establishing an offense. Let's call it that. The RPOs is it's just the bread. It's the bread, not so much the butter. They're not establishing a run. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at a team as the Eagles, what can you really do with a quarterback like Jalen like Jalen Hurts right now offensively? Are you relying more on RPOs, or are you actually going to try to see if you can make him more of a pocket passer and use his legs as kind of like a secret weapon if need be?
I think Jalen issues right now is that he has issues just hanging in there when he should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just so quick to run out of the pocket. Like it's like split second quick. Like sometimes he's got to hang in there and make the right read. It's like I did watch the Falcons game on all 22, and one thing I did notice is like some of the plays that he did make in that game. I mean, that was the big game, and I kind of got all the buzzing around him, right? That he just couldn't make from the pocket. And he was like roll out for no reason and then throw it to the same guy that was wide open if he just sat there. And I think that's kind of his issue. And if he's not just going through the structure of the offense, and he's trying to make plays too much because he's not trusting his own self in the pocket, I don't think he believes in himself in the pocket. Because if you're not standing in there as a quarterback, you don't have the belief in yourself there. So that's why you're bailing early, or he's having trouble seeing too. Which sometimes we ignore the height thing a little bit, but sometimes people have trouble seeing sometimes and they have to get out. So I think that's a little bit of his issue. He's just not trying to play quarterback. So as a play caller, I think you have to take it back a little bit and you got to hide him. And I think that's what they're trying to do, but I don't think they're doing it in the right way. Cause I think there's chucking it deep with him sometimes. And I think you have to mix in the run game a lot with him. Because I think the Eagles don't play bad defense, right? They don't, the defense is not bad.
Yeah. Defense
to the point where like they're not terrible. You know what I mean? Like they're not there's some bad defenses out there, bro. Right?
They're not last year's defense.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So, they're getting some stops, they had some stops against Tom Brady on Thursday. So, if you feel the defense is getting some stops and you have a good running back like Miles Sanders and you have a good zone read quarterback, I mean, sometimes you just got to mix those in and get creative, do some arc reads, do some things that you can get him going a little bit. So then he starts to feel comfortable. He starts to feel confident early on in the game. And then you get Miles Sanders going, which I think is crazy too. I was listening to you guys earlier. Yeah, that's nuts. I don't get it. Yeah. I mean, that helps your quarterback right away, and then you. Exactly. I mean, the offensive line is not that bad. I mean, inside. I mean, I don't get it. You got Jason Kelce.
And it's weird because our coach is saying that the design run plays are the RPOs, but I was kind of asking Morgan about this, and I'm going to ask you as well. Yeah. The RPOs is more of the responsibility of the quarterback.
Yeah,
it's depends on what he sees.
Mm-hmm.
So is the offense, the lack of offense, more on Jalen or more on the coaching staff when it comes to the RPOs?
See, I mean, in college, I didn't think Jalen was the best RPO guy either. Because RPO is not like reading a zone read. I mean, RPO, you're reading the linebacker instead of the defensive end. So he has to read a different part of the game because the pass part of it is there too. So, I mean, he might be panicking and not realizing what he's seeing in the pass aspect. So he's pulling the ball and just keeping it. Right. But I think if you get back to just like some quarterback counter bashes and stuff like that, and kind of just get him going and let him run, and let him, imply some punishment, because I think he likes to do that too. And yeah, he might get hurt, but that's what you have Gardner Minshew back there for at this point. So let's be honest.
Talk about backup quarterbacks on here, Marcus. Come on, trying to keep it the same podcast.
Yeah, we'll run Joe Flacco.
Oh my God, 2020 all over again. Damn it.
Sorry, but yeah, but I'm being serious. I mean, like, if he runs those bashes and stuff like that, it can confuse defenses and it can get them going. And that's what they did really early with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. He came from a pro offense in Louisville, but he was still raw as a passer. He was raw as a passer, he's a freak, right? So they mixed it in and they got him going, and then eventually, now look at him now. Now he's a passer, right? Now he's picking teams apart, throwing 400 yards. So it might take a little more time with some other people. But with an athlete like Jalen Hurts, and how good of a runner he is, because he's a good runner and he's a physical runner too, that they could run a lot of power, a big power game, and they could just bash people a little bit. But I think they're trying to be a little too finesse with it as well. So, in my opinion,
I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I just can't talk about this stuff too much. I just get sad,
But whiskey over here. That's what. It's that kind of night, man.
Yeah. I should
talking Eagles football.
But you probably know more about the AFC West than we do, just following it, and we have that crossover. And maybe we can share some information or insight on the NFC East. Although, you know what's going on. It's not great.
They all trash except for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys haven't been a good team yet.
Yeah. But you just played the Broncos. You know, we have the Chargers still left on the schedule as well. What are your opinions on how the division is going to shake out? Who's a real contender? Who's a pretender? Are the Chargers that good? They look really good.
I love how the Chargers look. They just got blown out.
I mean, the Chargers have a genius head coach,
right?
So their coach is just basically a genius. I mean, that's basically what's leading them. I think their offense, though, is very vanilla. It's a very vanilla offense, and you kind of saw that's what the Ravens kind of did to them. And I think with how vanilla it is and how short passing it is, and it's not really a lot of deep passes. It's not really very explosive. I mean, Herbert is explosive like in himself, in his body, but that offense is not explosive in itself. So that's their dynamic. Like, they have a really good head coach is going to have a great defensive game plan for you, and he's going to have he's going to know how to beat you, right? And he might even have a help with the offensive game plan because he's such a smart guy and needs to be a quarterback. But that offense is just kind of just too vanilla. And if you can play, if you decide, hey, we're going to put my corners on yours, and you're going to get open, and you're going to have to beat us deep, and you're going to have to throw deep over our heads, and we're going to challenge you. And because that's what the Raiders did. The Raiders were playing cover 3 in the first half, and you saw the Chargers put up 21, right? In the second half, they went to like the most man they played all year, and the Chargers only scored 7 points. And then this past week, the Ravens did the same thing. So too much of the Chargers, but I mean that's their kind of dynamic. I don't know about that offense. I don't trust it. The Chiefs, they scare me because they're getting a lot of turnovers right now, and if that stops, then they're still I think they're averaging like 10 yards a play right now. So if they stop turning the ball over, if they stop turning the ball over, I think we're all in trouble. But their defense is god awful, and you guys already know that. They're god awful defense. But I mean, if they get rolling, they can get you. And the Broncos, they're just reeling on offense. Their defense is actually pretty good, but I think that's a team that can be beat any day. So, but the Chargers are good. I just don't know. I think teams are going to catch up to the offense, and it's depending on how they adjust to it. If they adjust and if they can't adjust, then they're just going to tumble. But if they can, then they'll still be good. But that's what's going to happen with them.
I'm going to ask you a very honest question because I'm going to feel like the bitter Eagles fan right now.
Okay.
So on your side of the country, right?
Okay.
Josh Jacobs should have not won Offensive Rookie of the Year. It was Miles Sanders, okay? I need you to admit that live on this podcast.
No, man.
Miles Sanders deserved it.
I can't do that.
What do you mean?
Didn't Kyler Murray win it anyways?
No, but Josh Jacobs won the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Kyler
Murray won Rookie of the Year.
Oh, I thought those were the same.
I thought it was the same times. I looked it up right now. Just making sure I wasn't sounding stupid.
No, man. I can't do that, dog. I can't. I mean, Josh Jacobs carried the whole offense to 2019. He's basically the whole offense. And then when he got hurt, they went to crap. So
when he got hurt, like he was hurt for how many games did he miss?
He had like 1,200 yards, bro. And like 12
Miles Sanders had over like 500 receiving yards, and he had about like what it was like 600 some. Damn, let me pull these numbers.
He had the most all-purpose.
He did.
He had the most all-purpose.
The most all-purpose.
He had the most all-purpose.
And he played all the games.
Josh Jacobs was the better pure rusher.
Okay,
he was the better pure rusher.
Yeah, he was.
He was
the offensive rookie of the year, not the pure rusher rookie of the year.
He's the pure rusher, man. He was the pure rusher, and he was the leader of the team. I mean, that 2019, he was that offense. I mean, they built everything around him. They were running like 22 personnel all the time. They're in.
You're making me catch 2 L's in 1 week already, man. We haven't played a game.
I'm just telling you, he was the whole offense. That's why he deserved it because. I mean, once he got hurt, I mean that offense.
But he got hurt. Points. Carson Wentz got hurt in 2017 and was not given the MVP, even though he was the MVP of that season. There's no way you can tell me
like
he wasn't.
MVP is a different award, though.
No.
Rookies, they're
No.
MVP goes to the best player and the best teams. That's what happens.
They were the best team. What are you talking about?
I
mean, but he didn't finish the year though.
Yeah,
you gotta finish the year.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta finish the year. I mean, he would have won it though.
I'm bringing on my past, Marcus.
Talking about draft picks. What was your opinion on Ruggs with the pick being the first receiver off the board that year?
I mean, I want a CeeDee Lamb. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Yeah.
We all want to see man.
You don't have to. You don't have to lie.
We all
I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
We wanted CD too. Don't worry.
Nobody wanted Rager on this podcast.
I was hoping they're about to double up. I'm like, he was getting to 17. I'm like, oh my god, they might double up. I was like, that's what I was hoping for. But Jerry's.
You guys could have taken Jalen Rager. I mean, he was the best rookie in that draft.
No. Yeah, I mean, I like Justin Jefferson out of most of those guys.
Why are you rubbing it in our face?
I mean, I asked the question. Still bitter about I was stupid of me to ask the question.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about that, man. That is true.
It's a sore subject, man. Come on.
Yeah, but Rager, he showed some flashes. Yeah, he got some flashes.
Sure,
he's not bad. I just
some
guys just need Some guys just need the quarterback to like elevate them a little bit.
Yes, I do. I would say yes. That's very true.
Some guys just need it. Like they need him to elevate. But CeeDee Lamb, like there's guys like CeeDee Lamb. It doesn't matter who. I don't think if I was throwing to CeeDee Lamb, I think he would get like 10 yards per still.
Oh my god, CeeDee Lamb is phenomenal. I love CeeDee Lamb, bro.
You figure it out. That's why I wanted him because I was like, man. Yeah, go ahead.
That weird buzz that comes around like draft season where like even with Jamar Chase was like, is he going to be that good? And there's just some guys that just are that good. And I don't understand what happened with CeeDee Lamb, but he's always been that guy. And
how did he fall in the draft like that deep?
I have no clue.
Big 12 maybe. That's what I'm thinking. Big 12.
Yeah. He was right there for the Eagles, and Jerry Jones just like he had a Cialis that day, and he just got all
Yeah. That's a Jerry Jones guy.
He saw a Cowboys cheerleader in the CeeDee Lamb.
He's in the Big 12. That's what Jerry Jones loves. Big 12 football.
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah, man. I don't know.
It's a sore subject.
Yeah,
freaking Jalen Rager.
I mean, we could bring up Colin Farrell too. So I mean,
yeah. Don't talk about that, man. that was bad for me. Like, come on, bro. You don't take unathletic defensive ends top 5. Like,
It's an interesting topic actually because we saw it in the comments a bit. But this discussion about how much a coach matters versus an owner matters to the GM when picking picks. And do you find that? Because I mean, we have this conversation all the time. Is how much is Howie Roseman influencing the picks? How much is Jeffrey Lurie getting involved? Did you find that on the Raiders that this was John Gruden's team and he was going to make those picks? And how much do you think that was a blessing or a curse, and how much did it affect the play on field?
They were coaches like front office. I mean, Mike Mayock was there to scout. I mean, Mike Mayock was basically a scout basically with the GM. Mm-hmm. So they scouted all the players, and then they scouted the players for the scheme that was there. So that's why Paul Gunther was there, right? So Paul Gunther was the scheme guy, and he needs his big defensive end. So they scout a bunch of guys, and he decides he wants Clelin Ferrell because they're coaches, and that's what the coaches want. So really, what the scouts and the other guys would really like look at like early on in the early drafts. I mean, that's really John Gruden and then picking. That's why they pick Alex Leatherwood.
It must be nice.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it's like.
No, it's not nice.
Until the emo came out, it wasn't nice, but it must be nice.
because it goes two ways. I mean, if the GM is actually like a guy who was a scout himself and came all the way up, a director of pro personnel, like a Chris Ballard, some guy like that that's out in the Colts, who's an actual scout himself. Like you can trust him to make picks because he's scouting. He's not.
Our GM was number 1 in the country in Madden.
Hey, well, there you go. See, right? In the franchise, but you get somebody like Chris Ballard, like he's a real scout, and he can scout, and you can trust his eyes, and he knows what to look for, and he knows what projects. So that's why everybody's like, oh my god, he took Darius Leonard, and he's like, it's a passing league, and who cares if he can't play the run? I mean, he can stop the pass. So it's like that's seeing things. That's a scout, and then but you have coaches, they want to coach people. So they see I could just coach him up, or who cares that he has terrible hands when he's coming out of his step, or he's his kick step. I'll just fix it, right? And trying to they just, and it's like he's a good player. He came from this program. He won this one. He won that. That's what coaches think. Coaches don't think like scouts. Scouts don't care where you came from. They don't care what you do. They just what do you put on film? And coaches, they get into all the other stupid stuff. So that's why I don't like coaches messing with GMs too much, unless the GM's an idiot. But
welcome to Philly.
Hey, he's a good money guy. He's a good money guy.
Listen, Howie's a genius when it comes to cap stuff. But for the life of me, like J-Jaw, DK Metcalf, and that's the conversation in that regard. So you have a podcast called Tape Don't Lie.
Yeah.
Is it Tape Doesn't Lie?
Tape Don't Lie.
Tape Don't Lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's
so
awesome,
obviously
man.
you watch a lot
Checking
of
some of it out.
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
obviously watch a
It's
lot
fantastic.
of
Thank you, bro.
film. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Now I'm gonna ask you: is the quarterback right for the coach in that regard? Because you talked about the coaches. You got to get coaches, players, and how they did in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this is the guy for Nick Sirianni, or is it Jalen Hurts is kind of a lost cause? Because I was looking at Greg Cosell's scouting report of Jalen Hurts 2 years ago.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Jalen Hurts is still doing everything that was on that scouting report, and to me that kind of blew my mind because this was right before the podcast, and that's what made me grab the whiskey. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. So, a shotgun QB in a highly schemed offense? ? Very few snaps on the center, which we've alluded to so many times on the podcast that he should take some snaps on the center for the run game.
Mm-hmm.
But too much unnecessary and wasted movement. Tendency to break down and leave pocket prematurely. Limited feel in the pocket and strong tendency to move. A pocket leaver much more than a pocket mover. More of a see it, throw it passer.
I'm getting like flashbacks, man. Like that was all too close to home.
So with knowing all that, 2 years later, this is still the same quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is Nick Sirianni the right coach for Jalen Hurts, or is Jalen Hurts the right coach? I'm right QB for for Nick Sirianni. Sorry, I don't know why I got mixed up.
You got it.
No, I would say no. I would say that Nick Sirianni is a good coordinator. I think he is. I mean, just from watching the first Falcons game, I mean, he was cooking some stuff up, man. And I think if he had a quarterback that could actually run the offense, because I think he had more control of that offense to the Colts than people think. There's a couple of things that the Eagles did that I saw the Colts do the year before. So there's a lot of things that you could do with a good quarterback that can get the ball out of his hands quick and be a good passer and kind of like a Phillip Rivers type of thing. So if you can get somebody that can, stay in the pocket and run his concepts and run his schemes, I think he can do some good things, but I don't think Jalen Hurts is really that guy. Mm-hmm. And he would have to change his whole scheme to fit Jalen Hurts. So if he's, and I don't know if he's really doing that right now. I don't think he's changing his scheme. And I think that's the problem. Like he has to make the decision. Like he's not a normal quarterback. So you have to either adjust to it or you're going to fall or change quarterbacks. That's what you have to make the decision. Like either I'm going to change quarterbacks. He doesn't fit it. Let's, see what Joe Flacco does or whatever. And maybe he runs it better. I don't know. He's more of a pro guy. I don't know, but you have to make the decision. You have to decide, which I think he should have did before the beginning of the year. But I think maybe Jalen convinced him that he could do it. And maybe, Jalen's a hard worker and he's a smart guy. So he can like draw on the board and stuff like that. So maybe he convinced him that maybe he could do it. But now you see it, it's not happening. You gotta adjust, man. I think it's
you mentioned change quarterbacks. I'm asking you a very tough question right now.
Okay.
Because before when Nick Sirianni was hired, we had two quarterbacks.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Do you feel like Carson Wentz would have been the better fit for Nick Sirianni?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you see what he's doing, they're in the same offense. So, yeah, it would have been a way better fit for sure. I think I just think that the Eagles thing and, they just wanted to have a breakup. I mean, they just wanted to have a breakup with Carson Wentz. It's just with Carson, like, what was his ceiling? And was he going to keep getting hurt? He's a wild man. You can't control him. So he's going to try to run somebody over.
9 touchdowns and 1 interception. I don't look too bad on you.
I know, but like he's just he also already sprained both ankles. Yeah, so,
but he's still moving on them. You're not making great points right now, Marcus. You're a little bit more bitter.
But I'm a Raiders fan, so I know the injury might be a little more severe just because he's an Eagles guy. So you just say you gotta look at you gotta look at it that way. So he was always gonna get hurt, man. I mean, so that's kind of like how you had to look at it. Like, do we just stick with him and hope we get that full 16 season like we did in 2019 and he can lead us to the playoffs, or does he get hurt and then he just plays through it and he's not good all year because he's tough? And he's I always say he was the farm quarterback. He always plays like he's on the farm, and he never got out of that. And like, bro, you're not on the farm. It's not the turkey game. You can't just roll out.
You're in Philly of all places.
You can't roll out, bro, and just run people over anymore. You can't do it. Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, 100% Carson would be 100% better in this offense. 100%.
Yeah.
To talk about something different, honestly, because again, I'm just
Okay.
getting
All right,
sad.
let's move on from that. All right. We got 10 minutes left on the pod. Take your question, then we'll move to predictions.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This one's a little bit off the beaten track, but another thing we've been talking about is just the value of linebackers around the league.
Oh God, I'm gonna
Okay.
check Majeski now.
Yeah. Fair. But the Raiders are kind of an interesting example where they did bring in veterans to fill those gaps, and they've been playing pretty well. I don't know if it's a top group or anything like that, but been playing pretty well and got some serviceable guys there. Eagles have tried to do that to some extent, haven't really drafted the position very well. I mean, Eric Wilson was not a terrible pickup on paper, right?
Yeah.
Corey Littleton, obviously we wanted him to, didn't happen. But they've had some success picking up these guys. Now, what's your opinion on the value of line? Like we see the graphs. The Eagles are second last on spending, and obviously the two tops are the Bears and the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So what's your opinion? Can you sustain success by bringing in veterans? Do you see this as a trend going forward, or is it really you got to spend the money, you got to draft, you got to spend the picks at the linebacker position?
I think with the linebacker, I think you can find one later on in the draft that might be a good player, like third or fourth round. I mean, I'm not saying like fifth round or sixth round. Right. I'm talking like third or fourth round is probably your good linebacker spot. Because, I mean, that's Fred Warner. I mean, that's where he went off. A lot of good linebackers go off in the third and fourth rounds. I think linebacker is an undervalued position. I mean, it's the running back of the defense. So it is an undervalued position in itself. So, I mean, it's tough because I think with linebackers, I think you could just find them. I mean, you should be able to just find them. I mean, like Nicholas Amaro, he's undrafted and he was a starter. He's going to be a starter for the Raiders, and he played really well last year. I mean, because like I said, it's kind of like running backs. I mean, you should be able to just find them in different spots, and then you maybe take one in the third or fourth round. That's a good one, right? And you plug him in, and he picks up the offense. But it's all with linebackers too, is when you scout them, you got to understand, he's got to be smart. He's got to be able to cover. That's the big thing. You can't be some bully, just going forward and just knocking stuff over or whatever. That's not going to work anymore. He's got to be able to cover, and he's got to be able to, that's the main thing, to be honest. He's got to be able to cover. I mean, playing the run is cool and all that stuff, but if he can't cover it, they'll just attack him. So he's got to be able to cover. And you can find those guys diamonds in the rough. And I think that's what you have to find with linebackers, because, I mean, taking a first-round linebacker, I mean, yeah, that's a great thing. You might get a Devin White, right? But, I mean, Devin White really can't cover. So, yeah, Devin White can run all over the field. And, yeah, he made some big plays in the playoffs, but he's getting a little bit exposed this year. People are just attacking him.
Or the other side of that, Patrick Queen just gets run over.
Yeah, exactly. but then Patrick Queen, if he drops back, I mean, you might not find anything open. See, because it's all about the pass.
It's a give and take.
Yeah. I mean, they have to be able to stop the pass. I mean, if they can do both, that's when they go first round. But you don't take a Devin White in the first round, in my opinion. Not top five.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we move to predictions, I have one more question, Marcus, and it's because you watch a lot of film, and I respect that on a high level. Okay. In this draft, is there a quarterback that you will value more than Jalen Hurts if you're the Eagles? I'm bringing you to Philly now. You're leaving. Are you from Las Vegas or are you from Oakland?
I'm from Arizona.
Actually. Oh, right in the middle. Okay, cool, nice. Damn, not a Cardinals fan.
They sucked when I was a kid, bro. I'm sorry.
There's still time, bro. You can jump on that.
Yeah.
We can switch it up real quick. But is there
just change the name of the podcast?
I mean, it can still be taped on live. It could be red and white. Red and white. Pride.
We're about to be flipping the Bills.
Oh God. But is there a QB you would value more than Jalen Hurts? Remember, the Eagles have 3 first-round picks on the
it's
right now.
Early to be asking about 2022 drafts.
It's never too early.
Man, I mean, there's a couple guys that I would like, and I think the NFL would like. I think Kenny Pickett is somebody that is going to make a buzz, because what I think is happening right now with a lot of these guys coming out of the draft, I think they're kind of small. All right. They're really, really small. I mean, Carson Strong's out there, which is somebody that could, come out of nowhere too. And, somebody the Eagles might fall in love with because he's just kind of big and
his name is
he's
Carson.
got an arm, and maybe his name's Carson. But I would kind of stay away from him too. I mean, the only guy, I was thinking like Kenny Pickett maybe, but, I like Will Levis from Kentucky just because I think that he runs a pro offense and he's big and he can move. And I think that's something that he can do. And he's big, he can move, he got a big arm, and he runs in a pro offense. And I feel like that's Josh Allen, that's Justin Herbert. That's that kind of prospect where he's just huge. I don't know if you guys seen the run with him against LSU, but that dude is a monster. He's about 230 pounds. He's 6'3". He has Kentucky 6-1, and a lot of people are saying he just does play action and stuff like that. But I think that's somebody you got to watch out for. I don't know if he might not come out this year, but he might. They might force him to if he finishes in the SEC really well. So he's a big dude, though. So if, in my opinion, if I'm taking a chance on any of those guys, I'm taking my chance on the big freak that can move that plays in Sean McVay's offense.
He looks like a freaking tight end. My God.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's huge.
What the hell?
Man, selfishly, I'm so happy that the Spencer Rattler facade just crumbled.
Oh, yeah.
Hate him to my core. I'm
Me
so
too,
happy.
Bro. I'm from Arizona, bro. I know those. I was actually hoping that he would be a high draft pick so I could find out what happened to him. It's been a secret.
He's just another Johnny football story. It seems like he's gonna own a bar. That's what he's destined to do.
Yeah,
why are these guys' biceps bigger than my head?
You got a big head too.
Yeah, bro.
He has a cannon. I don't know why Penn State let him go. They're crazy to me.
This guy's a baby in his arm.
Yeah.
All right, so there's potential in the draft for QB. Damn, Marcus, I wish we faced you 2 times a year. I'll bring you on 2 times a year, man.
Kind of, man. Yeah, I love quarterbacks, so I always do. Like, I chart them. I chart the draft picks, so I'll be doing that. Even though I'm gonna be upset about it a little bit, probably.
Maybe we can figure something out for draft season. Bring you on to talk a little. You're doing run a podcast called Tape Don't Lie. That's not single-handedly just about the Raiders, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we did all draft too, and I went through all we ranked them.
Amazing.
So yeah, we did.
I got offensive line handed down to me to scout tape. That's a fun task.
Yeah.
Always. All right, guys, you ready for the big moment?
All right.
No.
Doing predictions now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going first on this one.
All right. Oh God. Okay, I can go first. I think that this Raiders offense is starting to do a lot of scary things. Starting to look really good. The fact that they're moving the ball around, I think that Josh Jacobs is still not really reached that point where he can be this in this offense. Like he's a real star. He's a real good running back. He's a stud. Obviously the hands are an issue, but they've got other guys to do that. I think they can put up a lot of points on this defense. The test really is whether or not Ruggs is going to get behind whoever's covering him. I don't know if Slade's going to travel. I know he's been doing more of that over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if Ruggs is that guy that they want him to travel with. I think they're going to put a shade of safety. Obviously, they're going to try and exploit those the too deep by doing the seams with Waller as well as some deep routes on the outside. But I think it's really going to come down to that about how high scoring this is. But they're going to get 25, 30 points, I feel like. So it's really going to be a matter of whether or not the Eagles can keep up with that. And I think that it's going to be about the offensive line. This defensive line has been, kind of showing their teeth recently, something that we didn't really think the Raiders would ever have as a pass rush. This year kind of came out and started doing that. So it's really going to be about that. I would love to say this is the game the Eagles start running the football because I do think there's a lot of,
Do I start Miles Sanders on fantasy?
I don't think you can.
You're smiling.
I'm
thinking that's a no.
This is that. This is what Mark is talking about is this is that game where the running game should work. I don't know if they're going to see that. I don't know if they're going to take advantage. I think this is going to be like a 28-35 game, maybe like a 31-28 game. I don't see either of these defenses really doing that much. The Raiders got some turnovers last week, but those are some pretty brutal passes by Teddy Bridgewater. But I don't know who that 31 is going to go to. I think that it could be the Eagles. Just because I am on an Eagles podcast, I'm going to go with that. My heart tells me Eagles. My head tells me that it may not be. So I'm going to go 31-28 Eagles.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Marcus?
I'm going to go 31-21 Raiders. I think even if they try to run the football, I don't think they're going to be able to pass. I think they're going to have trouble passing the football a lot. I think the Raiders corners are very underrated. I mean, Casey Hayward is going to give those young boys a lot of work. I mean, Devontae Smith's going to see some stuff that he's never seen before. And I think, Abram and those dudes, they set a tone inside. So I think just the defense, because I mean, that's the only reason I feel a lot more comfortable this year is when, predicting the Raiders to win is because I know that defense is going to show up no matter what. And I think the offense, I don't think the Eagles are going to know what to be prepared for. Are we going to prepare for John Gruden, or are we prepared for Greg Olsen? So I think they just caught the Raiders at the wrong time. Like if this was like a John Gruden ran team, I would feel a little different about this game. But I just think the Eagles aren't going to be. They're not going to know what to do. What do we attack? And it's going to be like a couple of weeks until people catch on to what Greg Olsen's doing. So that's why I think it's going to be 31-21.
Good point.
Okay. So 31-21 Raiders.
We didn't mention the safeties. They got great safeties.
They do have great safeties. I love Abram. I'm going 28-24 Raiders. I'm not picking the Eagles to win. The reason being is because I said in the beginning of the podcast, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I don't think Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen have learned their lesson yet. And I don't think Jalen Hurts has learned his lesson in this mini bye. I don't have enough confidence. I have as little as confidence as Jalen Hurts has in the pocket. Like that's my level of confidence of the team right now. They haven't shown any reason to think that this is a team moving in the right direction. Which, people, Eagles fans crying for Jalen Hurts to be benched. Eagles fans crying for Deshaun Watson. People want Nick Sirianni fired. If we were going to get into the right position going forward, I think it would happen against the Lions, not against the Raiders, who, again, are an unpredictable team because of what has transpired and the fact that they kind of came out firing last week unexpectedly. I do believe that we actually run the ball this time around because we do have Lane Johnson coming back.
Because you got Miles on your fantasy
I'm
team.
not starting. You're not gonna bait me, bro. I'm not starting them. But I do think we're gonna run the ball. I just don't think it's enough because I think they're gonna get to a point where Nick Sirianni is gonna get back into that. Hey, just shoot out. We gotta start tossing the ball downfield and hope Devontae Smith is open or hope that Jalen Hurts sees him open. Again, it's gonna be that moment where you're like, damn, this team is literally the definition of insanity, and I don't see them winning this game.
That was really depressing.
I'm sorry, bro. Usually I'm more optimistic, but you know what it is? Like, I'm so tired of looking at the all-22 and seeing Jalen Hurts scramble while Devontae Smith is getting open, while Jalen Reagor is getting open. And I'm tired of seeing Jalen Hurts pull the ball when Miles Sanders has a perfect hole right there on the right side or even up the middle. Like, you're not quarterbacking. You might as well just be a running back. Like, Lamar Jackson took the running back, quote, and ran with it, literally, and became a better quarterback as well.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is taking a running back quote and saying rent is due. But rent's been past due for a couple of weeks now. I'm a little frustrated about it.
Yeah. Damn, I just wish,
man, I would have loved to have been optimistic about it, but looking at the all 22, like,
I'm just checking if I'm playing you in fantasy. Okay, no. Don't start Miles. If I was playing you, I'd be like, yeah, start Miles. But...
Okay, yeah. Listen, I don't know how I'm 1-5 in fantasy. This has never happened to me before. But again,
I'm just as bad at fantasy, bro. So
I think I'm terrible at fantasy. I don't know what it is.
This is what I find is the people, honestly, like the people I know that know more about football tend to be worse at fantasy.
That has to be a thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Meanwhile, I'm saying that I'm first in our league, but what I'm saying, this
guy is 5-1, bro.
This is luck.
Who do I face this week? Did I face you? Oh
no,
I faced Liam. Great.
Yeah, I'm sure you want to know all about our fantasy team.
Yeah. But yeah, Dude, shout out to Marcus for coming on the podcast. We appreciate you, man. Definitely gonna look into bringing you during draft time.
Yeah, for sure.
'Cause I would love to pick your brain. With
awesome.
the Eagles having possibly 3 first-round picks, possibly the first overall pick, I would love to pick your brain and see, what direction you think the team should go in. But we do appreciate you coming on. For everybody that's first time listening to you, if you don't mind just giving everybody where they can find you and your information.
Yeah, to find me at the Mark John NFL on Twitter. So that's my Twitter handle. I'm on Taped Online on YouTube. So you can subscribe there, especially if you're into the draft. I mean, it's all Raider stuff right now. I mean, I'm gonna do we do film previews too. So we will preview the Eagles. Me and BD. He'll watch the offense. I'll watch the defense since I do offense for the Raiders. He does defense for the Raiders. We kind of flip it and do game plans. So we'll do that. So you guys can check that out. silverandblackpride.com. You can check me out there. And then I got a quarterback podcast as well called A Little Pocket Awareness. You could follow us on Twitter there, ALPA_QB1. So I had a really dope episode with Mark Schofield. That was really good. And we broke down a whole bunch of quarterbacks. And we break down quarterbacks every single week. So, so check that out too. And then, that's everything. Man.
Well, again, bro, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to our banter and our complaints and our depression. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem, man. Take care now.
See you.
All right, guys, that was Marcus Johnson of the Silver and Black Pride and Taped Online and A Little Pocket Awareness, breaking down everything Raiders as well as almost everything Eagles.
Honestly, guys, if you haven't checked that stuff out, it's fantastic. I checked some out this week and just a great job, great film analysis. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'll access live on the podcast. Are we doing a Thursday special?
Yeah, I think we should.
Bring back mailbag. So guys, if you have any questions, you guys had a million questions on this chat, which is great. Damn, I missed Ron's question. That would have been perfect. Nick Foles in the 7 touchdowns. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, shoot us a tweet on Twitter. We'll put out a tweet about it, and we'll answer it on the next on the next podcast on Thursday night, and then we'll be back again Tuesday night with a very special podcast. So usually we do preview Know Your Enemy. We're actually going to take a different approach. We're actually going to focus on the Eagles and have an Eagles roundtable talk with a couple of special guests. So me and Morgan are going to collaborate on that, and we'll get everything moving in that direction. But yeah, every Tuesdays and Thursday night, guys, look out for the podcast. Until next week, I'm Brian Cameron. He's Morgan Burkett, and this is Flippin the Birds.
Go Birds.
Yes, sir.